Happy New Year! Almost, kinda. We're like right there, 2024, okay? I can say it. But welcome to my final video of 2023, a video I've been wanting to do since I started this channel. I'm a reality TV fanatic, and I wanted to make a video that I can express how much of a fanatic I truly am, and this is that video. Thanks to some inspiration from the Moranian review, I will be ending this year by ranking every single reality TV show I watched in the year 2023. A couple of rules before I dive into this list. Shows that made it onto this list are shows I finished to completion, and shows that obviously finished airing in 2023. So shows that started in 2022 but concluded in 2023 will be a part of this list. I'm also only human. I have my taste, so obviously I did not watch every single reality TV show that aired this year. Sorry for clickbaiting you, my bad. To keep it honest, I didn't watch any of the Bravo shows this year, nothing of the cooking shows aside from 2, nothing from The Bachelor, nothing from Love Island except for 1, no Drag Race seasons that were not in the US show, and probably a lot more that I don't really care enough to mention. But regardless, that may sound like a lot, but I still have 43 shows from this year I watched from start to finish. So you will be fed, trust me. If you want a breakdown, we got 4 Survivor seasons, 4 Traitors seasons, 4 seasons of The Challenge, 3 Big Brother seasons, 3 Amazing Race seasons, 2 Drag Race seasons, 2 seasons of Special Forces World's Toughest Test, 2 seasons of Love is Blind, and 19 other shows that had 1 season. There's a lot to get into. It's all my opinion. Please don't judge me too hard. It's a long video. Let's break down every single reality TV season I watched in the year 2023. At the very bottom of this grand list, it was never in doubt. Obviously, as you can see here, it's the worst show I've ever watched. This show is not serious, nor was it ever a serious watch for me, but I somehow watched the entire show just based off of the format being batshit crazy. It's MILF Manor. The show where mothers and sons went on a dating show together and hooked up with other moms' sons and other sons' moms. I'm very serious. I had to wash my eyes and ears out for months after watching that, and I will venture to say, as I say it here, this is the worst piece of television I've ever seen. Listening to mothers and sons talking about being horny or searching through each other's panties or underwear to kicking their own son out of their room so they can do the deed with another mother's son behind that mom's back. All of these things happen in the show, by the way. And I watched it. Why did I do that? What am I doing? What is wrong with me? And the ending of the show was very dumb and not satisfying in any way. The show was for people to fulfill their MILF fantasies, and that's about it. No substance, and they should have paid me money that I even talked about this show at all. An abomination to the year 2023. Spoiler alert, these next 2 seasons near the bottom here are from the same franchise. A franchise where I didn't hear many good things about it to start, but oh my god, this might have been worse than I could have ever imagined. To start it at number 42, we're going to do Special Forces World's Toughest Test Season 1. That title is a mouthful, and so is this season, but a mouthful of dry, dry sand. Literally. I was bored to death watching this show. No prize, no strategy, purely celebrities with not much personality going through Special Forces training, with these dudes taking this shit super serious. I didn't give a fuck watching this show, and even with 2 times speed on, this show dragged. And you know it's bad when a show is dragging at 2 times speed. I already spoiled number 41 because it's Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, Season 2. And the only reason I watched Season 1 was because I heard Season 2 was much better than Season 1. But I was hoodwinked! This was the exact same show with a different cast and taking place in the cold instead of the heat. That's it. This show is terrible. I will not be fooled into watching a Season 3. Bad, bad, bad show. And if MILF Manor didn't exist, these 2 would obviously be at the bottom. And it's not particularly close from the rest of the list. We're gonna detour a little bit to talk about a dating show at number 40. This is a show that had 2 seasons this year. And I've been watching this show since the beginning, but oh my god, this season in particular was atrocious to watch. It's Love is Blind, Season 5. I usually eat up the drama and everything that goes on in Love is Blind, but this season in particular was weird. There were what, like 3 couples? One of them had this weird fucking dude, JP or whatever his name is, blank stare looking ass. And the other two were boring as hell. I like Milton, but that doesn't excuse that for half the season I had to watch 3 people who I didn't really care about the entire time. And that's no fun to me. That's not why I watched the show. And even when drama was inserted with the Uche and Aaliyah stuff, it got icky and it wasn't good television. It was this man making a whole ass out of himself. This was a broken season of Love is Blind, and even if the show as a whole doesn't compare to most reality shows I'm watching, this one was especially bad. So it's all the way down here at number 40. Or top 40, if you want to look at it that way. Let me get through number 39 real quick. It's Stars on Mars. If you want to move. There you go. This shit was ass. Note taken, celebrities on reality TV don't work out 90% of the time. The only interesting things that happened were Marshawn Lynch existing, the power struggle between Lance Armstrong and Ariel Winter, and the format was somewhat interesting. But like half the cast just quit and asked to be eliminated, and I don't know a damn thing about the winner, nor do I care about the winner. So the show isn't very good, but there was some good drama that put it just above the rest of these snooze fests. Number 38 is the first season of this specific series franchise thing that I watched. And boy oh boy did it do a terrible job of making me want more. It's The Amazing Race, Canada, Season 9. Now, I don't know if this is a thing every season has done or if it's due to COVID protocols, but why in the fuck are they only in Canada? I understand it's a big country, but I was so bored. There was nothing interesting about going from Toronto to Ottawa. I'm sorry, there just isn't. So combine that with one of the most boring races of all time. There was one interesting team. One. And it was the drag queens. Aside from them, everybody else was a snooze, and I don't even remember, nor do I care to remember their names. I haven't watched every season of The Amazing Race US or any other Canadian Amazing Race season. But this was the single worst Amazing Race season I've ever watched. No true power struggle between the racers, no drama, no interesting personalities, and the only reason it's at a high 38 is because I still like The Amazing Race as a format, and there were maybe 3 tasks that I had fun with. But what an awful season of television. And also, I'm not a fan of this host guy. That guy can go. Give me Phil or Bo any day of the week over whoever the hell this dude is. Number 37 is just a funny season because of all the chaos that surrounded the production of this show, and that's The Challenge UK. What a bloody mess from the Brits taking their first shot at the challenge format. Only a 5-episode season, and I'm like 90% sure that's because during filming of the actual season, the queen died during it, and like half the cast quit. I really hope I'm not making that up. I remember reading about that when this was filming. And then the season being 5 episodes, it's still kind of dragged, I'm not gonna lie. Some good characters like Nathan, Callum, and Zara, but the rest were pretty much duds. And nothing really stood out to me, but how could they stand out when they were given 5 episodes to give us a great season? It's not fully their own fault, but even the parts we did get were not that interesting, so it's gonna be left to number 37. Number 36 is such a blur, because what the hell happened in Outlast? This show was advertised as a survival show in the wilderness where players became divided into teams and they needed to be the last team standing to win by any means necessary. Okay, not actually, but the show gets messed up pretty fast with so many players showing what they would do for some money by completely sabotaging other teams and like stealing all of their belongings. The show is definitely cutthroat, and I like that aspect of the show because it strips people down to their core and what they would do in a situation like this. The reason it's not good and all the way down at number 36 is because it's a complete steamroll. 2 teams get completely decimated. And while I enjoy the fighting between teams, I need both sides to get a win at some point. And at every opportunity, it was the same team that won the battle over and over again. And it doesn't help that the teams that were dominating the other camps were completely unlikable and unrootable for me. That's a trend I see with these survival shows, and that the best usually do win. and there's nothing anybody else can do about it. But I did enjoy these dynamics while the fighting and stealing and the stealth missions were happening more than I thought I would. I just didn't enjoy the ending because there was no intrigue from the camps. And also, there's not a single memorable character in this cast, which does not help my overall opinion on this show. Another survival show right afterwards at number 35, Million Dollar Island, the Australian version. At first, I really thought the concept was cool. 100 players put onto an island, each with a bracelet worth 10k. The more bracelets you have, the more money you have. Up to $1 million, obviously. And some of the challenges were cool, and some of the dynamics were fun, but I have two major issues with this show that put it so far down the list. The first is that it's an Australian reality TV show. What I mean by that is Australian Survivor has a tendency to give massive edits to a few players and completely purple out pretty much everybody else until it's necessary to show them. And in a show where there are 100 people, this isn't gonna be good. About 6 of the 100 people got a proper edit throughout the show, while everybody else got some content thrown in there and maybe a storyline if they were lucky. So that took me out of the experience watching Brett for the 14th episode in a row. And the second issue I have is the finale. The finale was one of the worst things I've ever watched this year. The competition to get to the final 3 was fine, and I liked some of the social dynamics that came into play. But what was that final challenge? They catfished us so bad. $1 Million Island, my ass. This was an off-brand broke version of Deal or No Deal with a bomb thrown into the mix. It's supposed to be a fight for $1 million, and you're telling me the person that got third place out of 100 people got $10,000? That was so dumb, and I hated every second of this finale. There were some good episodes of the show, but it all accumulated into this as a final game where it was nearly impossible to actually win $1 million, let alone 500k, let alone 200k, and barely even 100k. Cheapskates. That shit was stupid. I'm getting mad. It's 35. Number 34 is one of the very few shows that actually started airing all the way back in 2022, but ended up finishing in 2023, so I've included that into this video. And one of those seasons was The Circle US Season 5. And to be completely honest, is the actual quality of the season worthy of being all the way down here at 34? No, absolutely not. I'm just tired, okay? I'm tired of the same bland and dried out circle format that they've sucked every last drop out of over these 10 seasons within this 4-year bubble. The format is the same thing every single time. And the gameplay that could come from this cast is never enough to feel unique or special. And also, I do think this cast was weaker than it has been in the past. I think Sam was great and a fun winner. Raven was also really fun, and I loved her interpreter, but mostly everybody else didn't really do it for me. Again, I do think there's still some fun that comes from the circle, but I'm at a point where it just hit a wall for me, and my experience was notably less enjoyable because of the circle as a format. It needs a revamp, please. I hear we're getting a season 6 and 7, and I just hope that they add some major changes. Otherwise, I'm going to be bored again, like I was with this season. Oh, would you look at that? To round out this second to least tier, the other show that started in 2022 and fizzled out into 2023, it's The Challenge, Ride or Dies. And this was a season that fell in line and felt exactly the same as every season from the Challenge 35 onward. Like, when I look at the contrast between Final Reckoning or World of the World seasons and see what the challenge looks like now, it's a glow down, and a massive glow down, but that's just the challenge as a whole right now. And Ride or Dies in particular, to be fair, had a pretty fun first half. There were some teams that weren't afraid to go for the vets. Like Jay and Michelle in particular were extremely messy, and that led to that rivalry with Laurel, and I enjoyed all of that in the beginning. But once we saw Jack and Laurel leave and Michelle and Jay leave, the season was completely lifeless in the back half. It was the Vacation Alliance / the Vet Alliance all working together and creating a complete steamroll outside of Horacio and Olivia, who were the only form of light in this dreadful endgame. Of seeing Bananas and Nani and Jordan and Anissa and Devin and Tori getting their way the entire back half. But the final was pretty funny. Unfortunate to see Olivia and Horacio go out due to a freak injury. That was actually one of the craziest things I've seen on the challenge, but seeing some of the greatest of all time in Jordan and Bananas lose in the final because they are paired up with Anissa and Nani, two of the most incapable challengers I've ever seen. If neither of them could win a final partnered with a great and their only competition was Devin and Tori, they are doomed forever, and that makes me feel good. But that doesn't mean I enjoyed a Devin and Tori of all people finally becoming challenge champions. I don't really like either of them, and in recent seasons, they've overwhelmed me. Especially Tori, who I need a few seasons without her. Or maybe just never come back. Please. But yeah, this is such a long-ass season, a tired-ass season, and an unsatisfactory-ass season. All things will land it at number 33. To start this meh tier, we'll be wrapping up this Netflix love show in 2023 with Love is Blind season number 4, making its way to number 32. This is pretty much a standard Love is Blind season in my mind, 10 times better than season 5 because it had actually interesting people. Brett and Tiffany were your standard perfect couple that everybody could root for, and you need that stability in these shows, I've learned. And I think other couples had their fun drama and so much mess. I'm a huge fan of Bliss and Zach as people, and despite their rocky road to get there, I love their story too. Micah and Paul were weird together, but in the best way, and not to be cutthroat, but the rejection at the wedding was pretty fun. And yeah, I do think the Jackie and Marshall thing with Josh throwing himself in between was really gross and toxic on all facets. And I think in general, nobody really came out of the situation looking good. But it gave me some drama, and the drama was so much more fun than anything in season 5. This was a perfectly standard and solid season of Love is Blind. But it's Love is Blind, so I can't rank it any higher than number 32. 31 is Buddy Games. Let's move it. Come on, buddy. Come on, Buddy Games. There you go. Sorry, I don't have a dramatic intro for this. The show is Buddy Games. I will say I enjoyed it more than I thought I would enjoy this competition-based show about friendships. We were completely robbed of seeing more of the pageant queens. Like, that was some serious drama and the peak of the season for me. We had like legitimate breakups of friendships on a show called Buddy Games. You'll see the irony in that, right? All of that drama was so good. And some of the challenges were really fun. And it was an emotional show. I think the concept can work with this format of having to vote out your own people from your buddy team. But if we can get some familiar faces on the show or some reality TV alumni, this show can be great. But I didn't know these people that we had, so it was hard to get attached and feel what they were feeling at the moment. And that's the biggest flaw throughout the entire run, is the lack of care I had aside from the pageant queens and maybe the Derby girls, but it was a fun surprise. The best way to describe Buddy Games is Buddy Games. Number 30 was such a weird show, and I've heard a wide range of opinions on this show. Some people said that this was the worst thing they've ever watched, and some people said it's the show they've been missing, and they've been craving a show to give us what this show gave us. I guess with my placement, I'm more in the camp of the people who said the show kind of sucked. But I see the vision these people had and why people enjoyed it. And that show was Fight to Survive. The survival show bringing in other survival show reality TV alumni to compete to be the ultimate survivalist. It started off really fun. I enjoyed the rivalries that started between the different sides and the different camps of players, because they really hated each other. But one of the biggest issues I have with this game was that there was no variety or change in who was dominating. Very, very similar to Outlast, if not even worse. One team, one side, won every single time, without failure aside from once. Just once. And one thing that can be attributed to that is one side being so much stronger physically to the other. But another factor can be that the survivalist challenge thing was the exact same ring game every time. And that was really stupid to me. I had no fun after like the second time seeing the same ring game being played. And who would have guessed the same people won every time? So that is where people who hate this show can get their fuel. But on the flip side, there was a lot of drama. There was a lot of fights. And like old school reality TV fights. It was some good shit. And I think the finale was maybe the best episode of the season, when the other core alliance actually turned on each other at the end and became greedy to want to win more money, which I didn't see coming but was pleasantly surprised with. Overall, the show was a mixed bag, but some slight modifications made and this show could really thrive. But for now, it's just meh, and will rank at number 30. Woo! We are into the 20s. We are moving, people. We're moving, and we're about to move out of the meth here because another season of the challenge is right here. Not a great year for the challenge. We got the challenge World Championships. It's honestly the most standard a challenge season gets. There isn't much that goes on that excites me when I'm watching. There's no iconic moment. There's no great elimination. There's literally nothing. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not good. It's perfectly mid. I didn't even make a video on it because of how just meh it was. Better than recent challenge seasons, but that doesn't speak to how good this season was as to more of how awful the recent challenge seasons have been. And that's really all I have to say on it. I just don't care. It's the definition of meh. Number 28 is kind of a joke, but at the same time, not really. To keep it short and sweet, like the show, it's the Great British Baking Show, Series 11. Yes, I know, this is a complete fish out of water from all these other shows I've been watching and or been talking about. But I've been watching this show for years, and when the new installment released recently this winter, I watched it like I have with all the previous installments, and it was good. The show will not excel in any aspect. I'm actually using it as a halfway point in this list. Not as in this is the direct middle, because it's not. This is a perfectly fine season of reality TV in general, and especially in 2023. Every season below this that I've already talked about has some major flaws to it that caused it to be below this. And all the seasons we will be talking about, I was very positive on. I was positive to really positive on varying degrees about them. What do you want me to say about the Great British Baking Show? It's like all the other seasons with just a different cast, but it was a fun holiday show and I loved watching it. And that's all it should be. So it's fine. It'll land here at number 28, and despite the title of this was just a stopgap to separate these bottom shows we talked about to the shows I will be talking about. The rest of these shows on this list will be the ones that have hurt my brain. Number 27 was one of the earlier shows I watched this year. I remember where I was when I watched this. It was an airplane, actually. And I was shocked that I was actually kind of enjoying it. But it was the new show, Perfect Match. God damn, this entire season was a mess, and I kind of loved it. Obviously, it's at 27, so it can only rank so high, but bringing the most toxic people from these toxic love shows to come together under one big toxic house and be toxic was kind of genius. Just mess on mess on mess. The entire arc of Francesca on this season was unbelievable. From being extremely clingy to Dom, fighting with Savannah, to then leaving Dom at the first opportunity for her ex, I think, who has this like weird look in his eyes that just kind of scares me. If you know what I'm talking about, you understand what I'm saying. Dom's arc in his own right was weird. Same storyline with Francesca, and then when she leaves him, he's so hurt and distraught that he's ready to leave the whole show, only to find Georgia, and then they ride it out together and pull off the upset to win the whole show. I mean, damn, Shane, Chloe, Daddy Nick, Ines, Chase, and Mitchell all brought some drama that I really enjoyed. And hell, Joey and Carousel got fucking engaged on the show. And then they still weren't deemed the perfect match at the end. That's so good. The biggest reason for why this show is at 27 and not higher, despite a lot of positives I've been talking about, is because none of the love felt real. And that was proven because not a single couple from the show is still together. They came for a check, a hookup, or both. But they damn sure did not come here for love. And it's also a trashy Netflix love show. I'm shocked it managed to get this high on the list. So being 27 and me having positive thoughts on the season is the biggest of compliments, despite its middling placement. 26 was a fun show that I enjoyed a lot, but the ending and just the overall portrayal of the show really tanked it from being any higher on the list. It'll be Physical 100. The Korean Squid Game, people say, that brings 100 super jacked people to compete in games to be the strongest person. And I'm so mixed on the show. It's both the most intriguing yet slow-paced show I've ever watched. I was glued to my seat to watch every episode to see what happens in each game, but at the same time, it took like half the season's runtime to get through the first 2 games. But I think the games were fun. Unfair for sure, as most of them relied purely on strength and whoever was the strongest, as well as some luck. But I think the ending was really dumb. In a year that had some shows with really dumb endings, this one was up there for sure. Not as in the games themselves, but the players that made the end of these games were nobodies. I didn't know who any of these fucking people were, especially the winner. Not a clue. And that took me out of the immersion after all the main characters started getting eliminated one by one. But it was still a fun show that I definitely enjoyed and wouldn't mind seeing a season 2 of, or the same show in different countries. So, with all that, it's number 26. Number 25, a show I started this year, and this was the first season of this specific show I watched live. And it definitely didn't do this show or this format any favors. It'll be RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 8. In hindsight now, I've watched nearly every mainline and All-Star season of Drag Race, and I certainly enjoy this less now than I did at the time. While yes, I understand that the winner was extremely obvious from the jump, the same mainline season from this same year had the exact same complaints, and I really enjoyed that season, so I don't think that's a hindrance to it. The cast was pretty fun, a mix of girls who had something to prove combined with girls who were nearly the winner or a heavy favorite in their past show. A lot of these challenges were good, especially the crime scene challenge. It's one of my favorite ever. I'm so serious. Again though, since I've watched this season live, I've watched a lot of Drag Race. And yeah, the issues stick out so much more, and I understand why people don't really like the season. The format is god-awful. I think that has to do with the fame games, which is its own complete mess. I'm just not a fan of the lip sync assassin as a concept. Jimbo is awful at lip syncs, and we had to watch her do like 5 of them. The finale is a complete bore and just a really terrible episode of the show. And like 3 people threatened to quit, and one of them eventually did quit. Now, while I really do love Drag Race as a show, All-Stars 8 was not its finest look, especially as my introduction to the show. I was told my number 24 pick was Big Brother if they added cooking, and that's pretty apt with Pressure Cooker here. Pressure Cooker was a fun ride. I'm not the biggest into cooking shows, having never watched Hell's Kitchen or anything like that, but I'm obviously a Big Brother fanatic, so I gave the show a shot early 2023 and enjoyed it. It didn't have any hashtag big moves or anything you'd see in Big Brother, but the cast is likable enough. There's some fights that happen, and I enjoyed the winner at the end of the day. I don't have a ton to say about this show, but that might be a good thing, especially with the 2 shows that are coming up that I know I have a lot of opinions on, so Pressure Cooker was solid work. Number 23, a season that broke me. It's even the title of my video review of the season, Big Brother 25. Such a controversial and frustrating season of television. And if you want my full thoughts and frustrations, just check out my review of the season. It started as one of the most dynamic and fluid houses I've seen. There was so much potential with Suri puppeteering everything. It was our dream. We got some fights, and some good fights at that this season. Jared vs. Corey was one of the best moments of the entire year from my personal viewing experience, as I got to watch that live. I love the stretch from week 2 to week 6 with so many good blindsides and good moves and character moments, the whole thing. But I obviously have a laundry list of issues from literally anything week 7 to the end. And it was a long 2 months to drag through that endgame. The comps being insanely imbalanced, no change in power structure, Jat and Mag, oh my god. I meant Jag and Matt, whatever. They suck. They just do. And that endgame was some of the worst television I've had to endure this entire year from any show. It was horrible and shows how flawed Big Brother truly is. So when you have a first half that was fun and exciting, and a second half that made me want to gouge my eyes out, I'm left with a not great Big Brother season. But it wasn't fully drained of good moments, and I can't ignore that despite how much I hated watching about 2/3 of the season. Number 22, a very similar season to Big Brother 25, but I think it might be a hot take that I truly believe that Big Brother Canada 11 is better than BB 25. So many people will instantly trash this season because they got rid of the live feeds, and that's not fair to the season at all. Because first of all, the season was drama, drama, drama. From the jump, despite Zach being awful in every way, he brought so much entertainment the first 3 weeks, and week 3 of this season was one of the most insane weeks of Big Brother ever. Period. An all-timer. It was incredible. But yes, very similarly to BB25, the endgame sucked. Seeing someone as unlikable as Ty just win his way out to the end was no fun. And of course the worst of the girly pops in Claudia is the one that follows him all the way to the end, where she ruined her game, took out her number one ally multiple times, and even took him to the final 2 when she had a chance to cut him. I don't even know if they're still together at this moment, but regardless, Ty winning this season is a complete joke and really fucks up the season for me, but I still saw a lot of positives and a lot of great weeks of this game. Weeks much better than a lot of those weeks in BB25. Even if Ty just comped his way to the end at BB Can 11, there were some really good weeks there, especially that double eviction. And that easily will make me put this over BB25. But it's not anywhere super high on the list. It's literally the exact middle of my entire list at number 22. Number 21 was a unique show to the year, the first season I do believe of this concept, and it was pretty good. It's Rise and Fall, the UK show that divides the cast from those in power, living the lavish life in the penthouse, or the folk in the basement, who have nothing, and have to work and do all of their tasks for those in power. And I thought the show was shockingly really fun. I think the cast was solid and gave us a lot of fun dynamics throughout the season. Some people just really hated each other in there. And seeing that instant switch flip from somebody in the basement rising to power and becoming everything they were just complaining about 5 minutes ago was so fascinating. And I love the finale format where somebody was voted out and then they would do a reverse safety chain, taking somebody out of the game until we were left with our final 2, where the rest of those final 5 would then vote for the winner of the game. And that was great. So why is it at 21? Well, I think the overall format gets tiring after a while. There were some points in the season I struggled to get through because it's the exact same thing episode after episode with no real switch-ups. And nobody really goes home either. We have such a huge cast left in the game until the very end, and that's no fun because we don't get to know the main characters as much as we would if some of the filler would just get out of here, no offense. But I think the show is really fun, and I would be here for a second season in the future, so number 21, it's good. Now, as we reach the top 20, spoiler alert, these next 3 shows in this frustrating tier that makes me hurt my brain are from the same franchise. A franchise that blew up in 2022 and had 4 seasons I watched in 2023, and 3 of these seasons obviously were very similar to me. Not in the way that the seasons progressed because I don't think they could be more different, but in how they made me feel, with some good moments and then some really bad moments. We're in the Traitors franchise, and at the bottom of all the Traitors seasons this year, for me, was Traitors Canada. Of all the Traitors seasons this year, I do believe this season was the worst for the longest. That stretch from episode 1 to right before the Fierce boot was really slow, and not a good start to the season at all. I didn't care. And then after the Kevin boot, I don't think the season was any fun until Kuzi was taken out. So that's a good majority of the season that was kind of slow for me. But at the same time, there were some really strong stretches in the season. Basically everything that wasn't slow was really strong. The Fierce Blindside led by Kevin was so heartbreaking but such good TV. And then Kevin getting banished right afterwards. It really sucked because Kevin was so great this season. And you saw how much he wanted this and how much he loves these games. Riveting television. And then I thought the endgame was really good. Magic Mike versus the field, and somehow, some way, this man makes it through the endgame and wins the whole damn thing. The moment where Gerline voted out her best friend Leroy, only doing it because she just knew he was the traitor, only for her to be wrong, is so devastating, but one of the best moments in Traitors history. That ending definitely helped the season, because I don't think any of the faithfuls deserve to win this game at all. But it was a nice blindside to me for Mike to pull this one out. However, due to the dry points in the season, it's the worst of the Traitors I've watched this year, and it'll end up at number 20. Number 19, it's a Traitors season, who would have guessed, and I think I'm in the minority here because some people really love this season. Like, best Traitor season of the year, love it. But I don't know if I'm weird or crazy. I thought it was just good. Nothing incredible for people to love it as much as they do. It's Traitors New Zealand. This was a season of the Traitors between a group of friends, and that was really intriguing. Everybody knew each other, and that's unique to any other Traitor season to date. And seeing the faithful absolutely dominate this game was a different perspective that never happens on these shows, but it happened here, and I think it was kind of a blast. The cast was cool. I think Colin and Brooke are two of the most underrated characters from the year. I love them so much, and I was rooting for both of them. The issues I have that don't make me as high on this season as basically everybody else is that there's just no all-time good, great moment. There's nothing that gets me going, nothing that had me glued to my seat. The season was not as intriguing to me throughout. It was good, nothing bad throughout the season, but nothing great either. And then the winners for me are like, whatever. Sam and Anna seem like great people in that aspect, and I'm glad they won, but like, not my winners. I don't know, it could have been a much better ending, and that wasn't a satisfying conclusion, seeing all the work Colin put in, and then everything Brooke put in for Sam and Anna to win was meh. I've learned I love to be wowed by a conclusion, and that lets me leave the season with a positive thought. And this ending was the worst of the year for the Traitors, by far. And all of those reasons will leave it to number 19. From one hot take to another, this will be the last Traitor seasons I'll talk about for a while on this list. And unlike last season, that everybody is super high on, most people are super low on this season. But I'm pretty optimistic on it. And it's my second favorite Traitor season of the year. It's Traitors AU Season 2. If it wants to move. Nope, you're there. Nope, come on. There you go. I don't care what y'all say. I will defend this season till I die. Did it suck watching a lot of idiots bumble around the entire season? Yes. Did I get extremely mad at points? Yes. But god damn it, we were given so much great television. The season starts off so strong with Sam throwing Ash under the bus right away, and their rivalry culminating in Ash's banishment to make Sam look completely faithful to everybody. The best episodes of the Traitors all year were the uprising of Annabelle and Luke, two extremely likable figures that were so great in the season, coming together, clocking both Blake and Sam as the traitors, and then fighting for their life at the round table to rally the troops to take down King Sam. But this isn't a happy ending. All of the faithfuls turn on them and vote out Annabelle, and then Luke gets banished the very next night, and they still don't vote out Sam or Blake. I don't know, people may hate those episodes, but I loved watching all of that unfold because it's so unbelievable. And yes, the game until the finale is a steamroll. Somebody will realize it's Sam, and then they get banished immediately, and that process kind of repeats a couple of times until we're left with 3 traitors. But that finale, oh my god. My favorite moment in Traitors history was the prisoner's dilemma these 3 were put in, where they could split the money between them, or steal the money all for themselves. If 2 or 1 person stole, they get all the money. If all 3 steal, nobody gets the money. Sam and Blake both steal the money, assuming Camille is gonna split it, only for Camille to flip that board and it says steal. Iconic. Holy shit. I love that. After a season of Sam being the biggest villain to ever villain on the Traitors, slithering his way vote after vote after vote, with Blake right behind him, never actually making that move on Sam despite really wanting to. Both of them get some great karma, and nobody wins. I'm sorry, the season was iconic. It sticks in my memory so much more than New Zealand did, and so much more than Canada did, and I just watched Canada. And while I understand the points where the show drags a lot, I think these top tier moments overpower some of the low points at the very least to be a better season than Canada or New Zealand for me. That's icon status. It's number 18, and it's going to round out this tier as we move to the good but flawed seasons. Number 17, back to another Amazing Race season, the most recent Amazing Race season. We got the Amazing Race 35. This season was a step up from the last few seasons of the Amazing Race. Pretty much since COVID hit, they haven't been able to bring back the reasons people love the Amazing Race, which is airport drama, express passes, U-turns, and all of it was here. While not here for the entire season, to have it at all was a step up. I think this was a great cast. I love Rob and Corey. I'm a massive Annalise stan. Ashley and Todd were great. Morgan and Lena were drama. And Jocelyn and Victor were a likable duo to start the race. And we had some great episodes thrown in there with the Joe and Ian boot, the Andrea and Melina boot, and the Morgan and Lena boot. I just had a good time with this season, and I have no true complaints. It's the Amazing Race, so you would need some all-time moments to rank super high on this list, but I really did enjoy this season from start to finish. And it did not make me want to gouge my eyes out, which is why I'm moving it up into the good but flawed tier. Number 16 is another Netflix show, a really fun Netflix show in my opinion. It's Surviving Paradise. Very similar to the concept of Rise and Fall, but I thought it was done so much better. I thought this show was giving it. The cast is like your stereotypical hot people at a resort Netflix cast, but once the gameplay started, once they were thrown into those woods and had to fight to get to the resort, there were people turning it on, and I thought the cast was amazing. Tabitha is a star, one of the stars of 2023, the center of everything for the first half of the season. The fake tears, the strategy, the fights, literally everything I wanted from a reality TV personality. Elise was messy but amazing. I enjoyed Alex. Linda was great. And Gabe was so cutthroat. I love that man. I will say though, I was preying on Shay and Taylor's downfall. Shay was whatever, I honestly don't really care, but I was not a Taylor fan. I just don't like her energy, and I wanted to see them fail at every opportunity. Seeing her get taken out by the safety chain, and being like super mad at Shay, even if it was for one night, fueled a fire within me. That was my hater really thriving. It was surprisingly really cutthroat and really fun to watch. Everybody played their own unique way, which will land it at number 16. Number 15 is taking us to the beaches of Fiji. The first season of Survivor across any country to pop up on this list. This was for sure the worst one of the year. It's Survivor 44. Going into the season, I was extremely optimistic. The cast looked so fun, and it was hyped up to be one of the best Survivor seasons we've had in a long time. And even watching this season live, I was positive on it, claiming it to be the best of the new era at the time of it airing, but time has not been kind to Survivor 44 in my mind. First of all, nothing happens. Like, can we please name a big move that went down that left an impact on the season aside from Maddie in that first episode? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I don't know. The twists were some of the worst the new era has seen, and that's saying a lot. The cast has some all-timers with Jam Jam, Carolyn, and I was a Carson stan during the season. I don't care what y'all say. But come on, not much else is there. The bottom really falls out with this cast. It just wasn't a very exciting season from a viewing audience perspective. But it's still Survivor. Obviously, like I've stated, we got an entire season of Jam Jam, Carolyn, and Carson, and I love those three so much. And there are some good episodes. I like the Sarah blindside, the Matthew quit, the Matt boot, and the Danny boot were all fun episodes. It's not completely stripped of fun. Over time, my opinions have just tanked on this season, and it's going to be stuck at number 15. Number 14 will wrap up the Amazing Race for the year with the Amazing Race Australia Celebrity Edition. Straight up, I watched this season for King George and King George only, and I loved him as a character. And of course, this man gave us so much entertainment every step of the way. Any episode with George in was a delightful treat to me. And his sister was great too. George and Pam, one of my favorite Amazing Race teams ever. And then that finale. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the season, but Darren and Tristan deciding to do a 3-way split of the win for everybody's charities got me really emotional, I'm not gonna lie. And that was one of the best moments of the year. And I love the fucking Wiggle, so seeing the OG female Wiggle was like, holy shit. I love her. I don't know what to tell you. The cast was so likable. The race had drama. It never dragged or wasn't entertaining for me. And it's a really good season of The Amazing Race and a really fun season of reality television. The 14th best to be specific. Number 13 will end another franchise of the year, at least of the seasons I watched. I know there are a lot more that aired this year. I just never got to them. But it'll be RuPaul's Drag Race season 15. Yeah, I fucking love this season. This was the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race I ever watched. It was a 2-day quick binge, and I loved it. I really enjoyed the cast. I loved the pettiness everybody had with each other. I love that there weren't any non-eliminations until the end. I love all the challenges. The lip syncs ate this year. The finalists were all deserving and fun characters. And the winner is an icon. That's most of the season summed up, but it was all so good. I don't understand the complaints. Especially after watching mostly every other season of the show. The season still holds up to me. I really enjoyed it. That's all I really have to say. I wouldn't have continued watching the show if this season wasn't so good. Alright, everybody. There's been an elephant in the room for a while now. One season on my list isn't actually reality TV. Shockingly to everybody involved, it's a scripted show and in fact not reality. But I mean, come on, look at my profile picture. You think I give a damn? This will always be reality TV in my mind, and I make the damn rules on this video. So if I want to rank Total Drama The Reboot at number 12, I'm going to rank Total Drama The Reboot at number 12, and that's what I'm going to do, goddammit. My most viewed video on this channel thus far is my review on this season. And I really don't know. I think it's my craving for total drama. Just being able to watch this show in 2023 was perfect. The cast is great. It fights with the OG cast as the best cast in total drama, and I will stand by that. I love the storylines we were given. Julia is an icon. I loved her villain arc. Bowie gave us main character energy. Raj and Wayne were great. Priya and Millie had a fun friendship. I could go on, but this was a great return for total drama. And I talk about total drama enough that the season can fit right into this list just fine in my mind. I highly recommend watching, even though it's not officially out yet in the US, but shh. Oh, we are almost at the top 10, the best of the best from the year. And I think number 11 here was a really fun season in its own right. Just missed out on the top tier. We're going to wrap up the challenge with the Challenge USA Season 2. Look at this. The challenge can actually have a good season in the modern day. Like, yeah. There was next to no drama after Amanda left the house, but I think this cast just knows what they're doing. Nothing could cheer me up like seeing the rookies go after the vets. I couldn't believe my eyes. The biggest issue I have with modern challenge seasons is that they drag. I'm uninterested, and I just don't care after a certain point. But this season always got me to care. They had me hooked, and I was watching excited about each episode. And then seeing the winners, Desi and Chris, take down the vets and prove Survivor is that girl. From beginning to end, I think this is a really solid season of the challenge. We could have had some more iconic moments. I mean, even then, we had the West vs. Dusty thing, and then Chris's run on the season was iconic in itself. It was all really good. The challenge needs to do more of this. Not this other shit they keep doing with like every other season of the show. Top 10, baby. We're nearing the finish line. And to start off this top 10, we got a show that has been a pleasant surprise over the last 2 years. People were shocked how good the first season was last year, but season 2 this year was even better. It's Claim to Fame, season 2. Claim to Fame is such a weird concept. You bring unknown celebrity relatives into the house, and you have to guess who the other celebrity relatives are before they guess you. So why the hell is it so good? The first episode where Tom Hanks' niece gets blindsided by Hugo, and her exit is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. A complete temper tantrum, and that's how you start a season. And it just gets better. Jane's downfall. Cole takes out his own showmance, only for him to go the next week. The failure for anybody in the entire house to figure out who the hell this man Chris was related to, for Gabriel and Monet to figure it out at the last moment and taking him out. And then Gabriel winning felt so right on all levels. Like, I don't have any complaints about this season. All of it was good. I'm ready for season 3 because season 2 gave us so much good content. And that's the top 10. All these shows are good. Number 9. And if you told me this show would have been as high as number 9 3 weeks into the airing of this show, I would have called you a lunatic. But damn, that back half of the season was genuinely so much fun to watch. It's Survivor UK, the reboot of the old Survivor UK series that came back for the Brits. Oh, sorry, wait, no, not Brits. Oh god, I just made fun of a whole country. I'm sorry. Let me just get into it. 2 to 3 weeks into my watch, I was prepared for an all-time bad Survivor season. These people were not that interesting to watch. They clearly didn't know how to play. A large focus on challenge strength, and a lot of the women were getting taken out pretty consistently. But like, damn, these people turned it on, and they learned how to play a damn game. As an overall landscape for the season, the first 2 to 3 weeks were old school Survivor, but the worst kind of old school Survivor. But then the middle portion, these people woke the fuck up. Jessica's downfall was really fun, and then Chris throwing the challenge only to get into a fight with Lee. And then the merge was just full force on the gas. Lee gets taken out by his own numbers just for being a nuisance to deal with. Then the auction has Chris with his idol and the extra vote, with him and Ashley becoming the outcast of the tribe. Oh, that week 6, you will always be famous. The Doug blindside by Tanuke with an idol in his pocket was so juicy, completely taking control of this game with her numbers. And then the very next episode, Christopher manages to get Matthew to flip and Lawrence to kind of flip. I don't know what Lawrence was doing, but Tanuke gets blindsided. The clear odds-on favorite to win the whole game was sniped out of the game just like that. And then it's the Matthew and Christopher show. With the crab cage idol mishap to Chris winning clutch immunity after clutch immunity to snake his way to the final 3, while Matthew was able to socially dominate the endgame and reach the end without much of a scratch. And Matthew's win was extremely satisfying to me. Like, the last 5 weeks of the season were a joy to watch. And even with the first 3-ish weeks being pretty boring to me, that endgame was some of the strongest Survivor of the year, and definitely carries this season as a top 10 placement. Number 8, wrapping up the Traitors series, my favorite Traitors season of the year is the Traitors US Season 1. This was all Suri Fields. This season is carried by Suri Fields, and if Suri Fields didn't do exactly what she did this season, it probably wouldn't be this high on the list. But too damn bad, because that's exactly what she did. Completely have this game wrapped around her finger and play these people like fools. This was the season that we deserved after 4 times of Survivor, with Suri being robbed and stripped of her crown. But she got that crown, and she did it in the best way possible. She made Cody look like an amateur. She took 2 faithfuls to the end of the game that were positive she was a faithful, and even took a traitor to the end that laid on the sword for her at the final hour. This was her power, and this is the main reason I love this season. But even then, that's not the only good thing about this season, and people need to stop acting like it was. Brandy and Kate are everything. My everything to watch this season. Kate and Rachel's rivalry. Rachel just existing. She's always good TV. And her downfall was so emotional. It made you feel things. And I'm not about to sleep on Christian here either. The newbie trader that was a lot to handle. But he still brought so much fun all the way up until Suri cut his throat. I don't know what to tell you. I love this season, and it's probably my favorite season of the Traitors so far. Here's to manifesting Traitors UK Season 2 and US Season 2 can feed us in 2024. But for now, this is the top, and it's number 8 overall. Number 7, oh, number 7. A show I have not talked about yet in any capacity on this channel, but it was shockingly, really fucking entertaining to watch. And it was the only version of Love Island I watched this year, let alone ever. It was Love Island Games. They added strategy to Love Island, and these people ran with it. And it was extremely messy for 18 episodes. Johnny's entire arc this season was just pure douchebaggery in the best way possible for TV. The man is incapable of staying loyal to one person. He really went to 4 different girls while he had a girl pregnant at home. Like, oh my god. Jack and Justine are the perfect winners of the show. I love them both with my whole heart. Callum was a fun presence, a true goofball the entire show's run. And I think Imani and Ray were a good opposition the entire season. They were the couple to beat. And I think the best part of the entire season is seeing their downfall at the hands of Jack. That was riveting television. And if I did a best moments of 2023, that's certainly up there. The show was great. I enjoyed it the entire run. I know it's not the same format as Love Island, but I might just have to start watching Love Island because damn, I love this show. Love Island Games was a shock that I enjoyed it as much as I did. And that's a common theme with these next two choices as well. I am floored that these shows were actually good and are ranking this high on the list. Because my number 6 show, just missing out on the top 5, is going to be Squid Game: The Challenge. It's Squid Game, but make it a reality TV show with 456 real people. I'm gonna eat it up. Some people really hated this show because it was over-dramatized and took away from the message of the Squid Game TV show it was portraying. And all I have to say to those people is deal with it. I promise you, it's not that serious. Just enjoy it for the TV product it is. And if you don't like it for the TV product it is, maybe reality TV isn't for you, and that's fine. But the first 5 episodes of the season were some of the best television I've watched in a long time. Red Light, Green Light, 8. Cookie Game, 8. Warships, 8. The Vote, 8. And that damn Jack in the Box, motherfucking 8. And while I do agree the second half of the season does not live up to the first batch of episodes, I still really enjoyed things like the Glass Bridge and the Circle of Trust. Even if the final game was fucking rock, paper, scissors for $4.56 million, the season's body of work is still strong enough that I was very happy and very much enjoyed my experience from beginning to end. A lot more than I anticipated. The top 5. And to cap off a year of surprises, the biggest surprise of them all was Big Brother Reindeer Games. How were the mainline seasons so wishy-washy solely because of the competitions, and then we're given a season that's advertised as literally only competitions? And it was the best thing Big Brother has done in years. To be clear, I'm very happy the season was only 6 episodes. It kind of started to stall off a little bit, and I think anything longer, I probably would have gotten miserable. So 6 episodes, perfect amount. But oh my god, this season and this first week especially was magical. I have a video talking just exclusively about the first week, but nothing has changed in my mind. I was smiling ear to ear watching these previous Big Brother players just interact, exist on my television screen. The comps being equitable, the boot order kinda ate. And episode 3 was the best episode of Big Brother I've watched, maybe ever. It was drama and everything I could have dreamed of. Even if it led to Danielle Reyes going home, I still loved it. And then Nicole and Taylor final 2? Queen shit. I mean, I don't know. This season was so good. I'll take a season 2. A real Christmas miracle this ended up in the top 5, but it's much deserved. Number 4, we're going back to Fiji because it's Survivor 45. If it wants to move, there you go. This was Survivor finally giving us hope in the new era, moving in the right direction with so many decisions. And it helps that this is my favorite cast in the new era too. I don't think there was a single dud aside from maybe Sean. An incredible cast. Some really great all-time new era episodes with the Sabaya boot, the J boot with Caleb shot in the dark, the Kelly blindside, and even the finale I thought was really great to me with the 2-1-1-1 Julie vote. Everything Jake did. Austin and Dee at Final Tribal, and then Emily Icon flippin' just existing. Old problems that all new era seasons suffer from still creep up in the season, and there are some really predictable and stale episodes throughout, which will prevent it from being a top-tier Survivor season, but I still really enjoyed myself watching this season. I felt more like a little kid watching this than I have felt since probably Winners at War, and that was over 3 years ago. I've been missing that feeling. I will look back on Survivor 45 in a positive light. Ooh, we're so close. We're so close. The top 3. And at number 3, it's probably a lot of people's number 1s if they were to sit down and make this list. A season that seemed like it would be a shit show. And it was a shit show. A glorious, villainous shit show. That's right. House of Villains is my number 3. God, was this not amazing? They brought 9 of the greatest villains across all forms of reality television and in FISA to compete against each other in some makeshift Big Brother thing. We got a fight like every episode, and all of these fights could have been the best fight of the year. They just kept topping each other episode after episode. I'm always a sucker for the Omarosa versus Corinne rivalry, Shake versus everybody, and Tanisha versus Omarosa. I love Miss Tanisha with my whole heart. It's just so good. Tanisha won the whole damn show. I didn't get no sleep because of y'all. She did it. She did the damn thing and won. The only true complaint I can maybe give is that the end of the season takes a bit of a hit because a lot of the heavy hitters kept leaving week after week. But there's way too many moments to even list all of them in this video. Tanisha bringing out the choir, everything Bobby did, Omarosa and the mysterious injury, Bananas and his letters, Shake showboating before losing a challenge. I'm getting overwhelmed. I love this show. It's an instantly iconic show. And it'll be my number 3. Number 2. And this was a really tough decision. It was always a top 2 for me, and this top 2 specifically. I went back and forth for a good while to really decide what order to put these shows in. One show had some insanely high highs, like best moments of the year on multiple occasions. And while some moments throughout aren't up to par, it stays strong for a large portion of the season. While the other show was a spectacle, it tickled one specific part of my reality TV brain incredibly well, and I don't think I've experienced that with a show before. I was smiling while watching the whole thing, but it doesn't have those big iconic moments the first show does. And that is ultimately why I decided that the second option was going to end up at number 2, and that show being The Devil's Plan. If you haven't seen The Devil's Plan, it's a South Korean social strategy show that is made by the same people who made The Genius, if you've ever heard of that show. It's a game of pure wit and strategy. You're not getting no slip and slide here. I obviously will recommend you to check this out on Netflix if you have the opportunity, because this takes the best parts of a lot of reality TV shows we've watched and only gives us the best parts with no room for bullshit twists or any of this other stuff. It was a group of people trying to outsmart each other throughout this crazy game with some really fun characters. Seokjin was my rooting interest throughout the whole season, just purely based on how he sees the game. And he's kind of hot. Orbit is unironically hilarious, and I love him. Dongju, Junbin, Dongjae, Shiwon, all were amazing characters I was personally invested in. The games are all made to be complex and have multiple ways to outsmart someone or beat the game, which makes for amazing television to watch everybody try to outsmart each other and bring unique strategy to each game. I could rant about the show for hours, and I might just have to make a retrospective on it one day. I loved watching this season of television. It's unfortunately going to fall just shy of the top spot and land at number 2. We did it. My top reality TV show of 2023 is going to an Australian Survivor season. Pinch me. I cannot believe this is actually happening. Can't argue with my opinion. Australian Survivor Heroes versus Villains was the best season of reality TV for me in 2023. This season should have failed. It had no business being as great as it was. As I mentioned, it's an Australian Survivor season, a show more focused on the dramatics and propping up its main characters while shafting more than half of the rest of the cast. The season was an awkward 13-11 newbie to returning player split. The cast was labeled a hero or a villain, and more than half of the cast had never played Survivor before. None of it makes sense. It should have failed. This cast willed its way to give us the most dramatic, action-packed, and storybook season of Survivor. This is an all-time Survivor season of any of Survivor ever. I also made a review of the season when it finished airing, and I don't even think I did it justice in that video. How could I start anywhere but with King George on this season? Your love of this season will vary purely based on how you feel about King George. I think you can tell by the fact that I'm calling him King George and the fact that it's number 1 on this list that I adore George. An all-time favorite reality TV personality this year. I think with his 2 shows combined, he was my favorite reality TV personality this year. Gashing his head in episode 1, becoming the biggest target on his tribe, completely willing and molding his tribe to become his little kingdom thanks to the Spice Girls. Then episode 7. That is one of the greatest things I've ever watched. Jordy betraying Simon, Simon winning some random fluke immunity, the mad scramble, George playing his idol, George putting Simon in a corner to either play his idol for Stevie or let Stevie go home, throwing Jordy in the line of fire for Simon to be mad at him, Simon letting Stevie go by not playing his idol, And then Frasier goes home on a minority vote split by the Spice Girls. Somebody get an ambulance. Top 5 tribal council of all time. Come on. Simon and his cookie idol. Shawnee is amazing. Nina thrived. Haley was great. Liz winning the whole game by taking out George at the final hour was everything. I don't know what to critique. People can flaw the endgame was somewhat stale, but that's impossible for me. George was always around, so I could not possibly have been bored. I love this season. What more do you want from me? It's a number 1, and I'm not going to argue with you over it. That'll do it. That's another year of reality TV in the books, and I just wanted to leave this video saying thank you. This was my first year on YouTube, and I never could have imagined the support I received. This really made me feel like I'm doing something good. There are people who like what I'm doing and like what I have to say. The internet is a scary place. And to see any support at all, I could never tell you guys how much I appreciate that. And it fuels me to make 2024 the best year of my life in all areas. And this channel is included in that. You'll still see the normal content I've been releasing this year, but I hope to go above and beyond with content. I have a lot of plans, a lot of ideas, and I'm really excited for you guys to see what I have to bring. We're turning things up to 11. If you made it to the end of this video, I love you. Platonically, of course. Thank you once again to an amazing 2023, and I'll see you next year. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke, okay? It was right there. I just... Whatever. Let me end the video. I will undoubtedly see ya when I see ya. Bye-bye.